Hello, scholars. Welcome to another interesting and mind-blowing topic. Today, we'll be looking at tectonic processes and major landforms. In this lesson, we'll be studying different landforms, tectonic processes, and the characteristics of the various landforms we have. All right, before we dive in, let's look at a little bit of history of the Earth, how it was formed. 5 billion years ago, that's a long time, a nebular cloud of gas and rock came together by gravity. You know what gravity is, and it condensed. Why they did that, pieces of debris came and collided together, and by that collision, a friction occurred. And as a result of the friction of their collision, the rocks were heated. That collision heated the rocks that came together, and then our planet Earth, which was very young, was formed as a result of that collision. Its interior, hot from friction and decay of radioactive element, like we saw in our previous lesson, interior of the Earth, reached over 25,000 degrees Fahrenheit. That is the core, the inner core, which I explained to you in the previous lesson. Slowly, the Earth developed a cool, cracked crust. And I told you the lithosphere is also called the crust. Our crust is the lithosphere. Those cracks, they form the boundaries of series of crustal tectonic plates. And we're looking at tectonic processes. So those plates were broken into 17 different pieces. Now, I want you all to pay attention to this. Now, those processes, from the Earth formed a heat, and as a result of the heat formation, we got the core and the crust and the mantle. And the heat is still trapped deep inside the core of the Earth. Those rising molten heat forces on our plates started to generate some things together, and some forces that pushed them together. And in those plates, they started pulling apart as a result of the friction. The friction started expanding alongside those 17 friction crack on the Earth, and what we call the diverging rift was formed. It developed, and volcanic eruptions started occurring here as a result of that same friction that came together. You know, the Earth crust formed this, the lithosphere formed these protective plates. So from those squeezing of the plates, the mountains started to rise, and on the Earth crust, continents started joining together. And that's how we have our various continents. And as a result of these same tectonic plates on some part of the continents, they gave rise to different earthquakes. And when ocean plates converge together, convergence means when they come together. When ocean plates converge together, volcanoes explode. That's why you see some countries, you have what you call volcanic eruption. And apart from that, also, tsunamis drown thousands of people because of what? A result of these plates. Now, let's take a look at major landforms. What are major landforms? Major landforms are the different landforms that we find on the Earth's surface. Mostly, we have the plains, the mountains, the valleys, and so many others. But let's start with the mountains and the valleys for a start. We'll be looking at the rest as the lesson goes on. Now, like you all know from the word mountain, what comes to your mind? 1/4 of the Earth's surface is land, which I told you before in class. We live on land and grow our food on it. We have 29% of water and 71% of land. 71% of water, sorry, and 29% of land. But the land is not the same everywhere, because we have different structures. We have the high rise and the low plains. The different features on Earth's surface are known as landforms, and there are various of them. But now let's look at the mountains, Then we look at the valleys. We also have the hills and what the plains, and we also have plateaus and so many more. But as the lesson proceeds, we'll be looking mainly at the mountains. Now, what are the mountains? A mountain is a landform that rises very high above the land around it. It has side steps and a pointed top, which is called the peak. The peak of the mountains have things that we call snow. The snows are covering the mountain, and the tallest mountain in the world is the Mount Everest. Now, you should know that the snow of the mountain comes down together to form a supply of water, and they flow through many rivers. In India, we have River Ganga, and we have another river called Yamuna. These different rivers they flow down from Mount Himalaya, and they form a river in India. Now, a large number of mountains form a mountain range. The Himalaya is a combination of different mountain range that have some of the tallest mountains in the world. Mountains that are not very high are called hills. They are less steep, and you can get some nice views from there. Hills are a good place to get nice views because people visit different hill range because hop hills are very, 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 very cold. Hill stations are higher land, and higher lands are very, very, very cold. India has high hills on both the east and west borders, and people like visiting it, both tourists and everybody. They like visiting it because of what? The view, not just only the view, but because of what? The coolness. We have the Commodore Hills, the Nilgiri Hills. All these are hills in India. Now, what about the valleys? What are valleys? Valleys are lowlands between hills and mountain, and rivers run through valleys. India again has so many beautiful valleys, which we have some of them, like the Kashia Valley. Kashia is pronounced Kashia in India, and we also have the Silent Valley. So plains also. Plains are large flat lands that often have soils around them. And these soils within the plains, they are very, very rich in minerals and are very, very fertile. These soils make the plain grow crops. They grow more and more crops because of the fertility around them. Now, the soil that makes up the plain are very fertile. Why the plain gives support to road, railway, and houses? Because they are flat grounds and they are the most populous regions where you can build structures on. People around People can live mostly on the plain, unlike the mountains. India has a very, very large number of plain on the northern part. They have in the Punjab, they have in the Haryana, they have in the Uttar Pradesh, they have in Delhi, they have in West Bengal, they have in Bihar. They also have in greater places. Thank you very much for watching. I'll see you in the next lesson. Remember to always stay hydrated and have a lovely day. Thank you very much.